Did you know that there is a Tesla car orbiting our solar system right now? Or that Tesla is constructing the largest building on the planet? Or that their cars have a built-in bioweapon defense mode that has actually saved people's lives? Welcome to my top 40 things about Tesla, the company, the cars, and the man behind them. And each one, I think, is more fascinating than the last. So that logo, contrary to popular belief, is not the nose of a cat. Sorry, Milo. It's actually a cross-section of an electric engine invented by a man called Nikola Tesla. He's the inventor of the alternating current that runs through our homes and powers all our gadgets, even today. And he's also where Tesla's name came from. In the exact same way that Nikola took a world that relied on candles and led them to light bulbs, Tesla's mission is to take a world relying on engines and lead them to electric cars. Yeah, I have managed to borrow a Tesla for this video, so let's forget the name and logo and let me show you the cool stuff it can do. So first up, I get that this car looks like it's off, but Teslas are actually always turned on. They sit on standby when you're not using them so that you can always control them via the phone app. And this is part of what makes Teslas so hard to steal. The fact that I can literally see if someone else is driving my car and exactly where they are means that if I was a criminal, stealing a Tesla would practically lead the cops to me. But what also undoubtedly helps is Sentry mode. When left unattended, a Tesla will basically set up the equivalent of a home security system. It'll use all the cameras around the car to make sure that if anyone so much as leans on it, you're gonna know about it. And then they're gonna know that you know about it. Plus, the cameras around the car, they're recording continuously anyways. So if anything does happen, you can save that footage. But most importantly, the actual fun stuff are the Easter eggs. Like this right here is romance mode. It gives you a little fire visualization with authentic crackles. It'll actually send out warm air through the vents. And even if you tap it, we'll start playing romantic music. Probably a bit early for that in this video though. You've just effectively got a whole load of toys. Like this right here is tracks, which lets you loop your own instruments to make a song. Or just a full-on sketch pad for all your artistic desires. I didn't actually know this till yesterday, but Teslas also have a speaker on the outside. It was actually a government requirement because the cars are so quiet that they needed to add noise so that pedestrians know when they're approaching. And of course, Tesla also turned it into a joke. You can use this outside speaker to shout at strangers, to make wild goat noises, or even to release an explosive fart. And let's talk about farts actually, because these cars have an entire section dedicated to them. You can choose from an entire menu the type of fart you want, and then how you want that fart to be triggered. For example, I've set mine up so that every time I indicate, my car will let out a Neurostink Ripper. Don't want to know how these were recorded. But maybe the coolest Easter egg of them all was actually discovered by a fan. He realized that if you hug your Tesla from the back, the charging port will open up and it will show a heart symbol as a sign of affection. This went semi-viral until people realized that he actually had made it up and that the only reaction you do get is visible concern from the public. Fascinating fact, but not even close to what our top 10 is going to be. But okay, cars aside, Tesla, just as a company, is not exactly what I'd call normal. For example, how they actively tell their employees that they should ignore nonsensical company rules and that they should leave meetings if they feel like they're not contributing. How they let these employees take an unlimited amount of paid holiday so long as they get the work done. Or how, when a new employee joins the team, they are given a handbook that's actually called the Anti-Handbook Handbook. And it's filled with all sorts of wording that you just don't expect from an official company document. Like how it says that if you do certain things, you're a jerk. How it literally says you can talk to anyone without anyone's permission, including literally the CEO Elon. Or even how, if you feel like you might be about to do something stupid, do us all a favor and leave now. It's almost unnerving how direct they are, but clearly something's working, given that how in mid-2020, Tesla overtook Toyota to become the most valuable car company by stock price. They only have a tenth of the revenue, they literally sell a 30th of the cars, but their stock price is so high just because of this growing sentiment that electric cars are the future and that Tesla is leading electric cars. But it gets wilder, because it's not just car companies that are falling by the wayside. Tesla is actually the fastest growing brand in the world, full stop, according to brand value growth rate. For some perspective, if I'd put $100 in Tesla in 2010, it would be worth $19,000 now. And they've managed to do all this with just 70,000 employees, which might sound like a lot, but it is tiny when compared to Toyota's 360,000 or something like Volkswagen's 670,000. Right, the next 5 facts are all about money. We've got 90 seconds on the clock, let's go. The most expensive Tesla in the world right now is actually not $50,000 or $100,000, but in fact, $300,000. And it's a custom version of their Model S with actual gold plating all around both the outside and the inside of the car. 23. Even though Tesla is growing really quickly, their costs are so high that 2020 was the first full year that they actually made a profit. And even then, it was only $720 million US, not even a sliver of the $50 billion that Apple made.
What an amazing day.
And it gets murkier, because the only reason they even hit profitability is because they received $1.6 billion in regulatory credits, which are basically grants from governments to encourage the production of low-emission vehicles. But something I was even more surprised by is that Tesla was very, very nearly bought out by Google for $11 billion. Tesla was having a really rough time. It literally got to the stage where the contracts were ready and both companies were about to press the trigger. But then Tesla all of a sudden started doing really well, and Elon Musk one day just decided, actually, we're good. But most interesting of all, this guy Elon, CEO, famously takes a grand total of $0 as his salary. He seems to be doing all right though. But let's talk about Elon actually, because this guy has a very colourful history, is what I was going to say. So, even though he is the current CEO, and believed by many to be the founder, Tesla was actually co-founded by 2 people called Mark Tarpenning and Martin Eberhard, and Elon only then came in later as an early investor. In fact, Elon never wanted to be the CEO. He was already working an 80-hour work week at his other company SpaceX when he got involved, and he just saw it as a massive faff. He only ended up agreeing to be CEO when he felt like there was no other option. But actually, yeah, let's look at Musk's other companies. Because as well as Tesla, which makes electric cars, he also owns SpaceX, whose mission is multi-planet colonization to save our species. Neuralink, who's trying to implant wireless brain-computer interfaces inside of us, and The Boring Company, who, well, they dig holes in the ground. As well as other ventures. He's actually been so successful with these projects that he is only the second man in the history of Silicon Valley to take 3 separate companies to over $1 billion valuations. And no doubt at least some part of the success boils down to how he just does things. Like this Boring Company, they dig holes, yes, but they actually have a huge vision to dig enough transportation tunnels that they can end traffic on the roads. But do you want to know what the trigger point was for him to start this enormous venture? He just got stuck in traffic one time. He tweeted that, "Traffic is driving me nuts, I'm going to build a tunnel boring machine and just start digging." An hour after this, he'd named the company, and then an hour after that, he replied to his own tweet saying, "I am actually going to do this." This almost impulsive attitude he has to things, combined with an almost limitless budget, leads to some genuinely bizarre outcomes. Like how in 2018, his Boring Company released a flamethrower. I think the goal was to just do something crazy to get headlines, but it worked. And I find it hilarious that they decided to call it not a flamethrower, as if that would somehow unimplicate them when something inevitably went wrong. Or how with Tesla, the Model S, Model 3, Model X, and Model Y are all named as part of a quest for the car line to spell sexy. Oh, and hey, if you are enjoying this video, then a sub to the channel would be... 13. Musk is sometimes referred to not as a billionaire, but more as a thrillionaire, because of how he seems to make sweeping decisions, often for no other reason than just the fun of it. Like how he's named one of his sons Xavier, which he's admitted to being based on Professor Xavier from X-Men. Or, more controversially, his most recent son, well, this. The name is a combination of a bunch of things that him and his partner are just fond of, like their favourite aircraft, and it's pronounced X-A12. Good for them. Or how, this is probably the craziest Elon fact of them all, as a way to test his SpaceX rockets, he decided to launch his own personal car as a payload. It sounds ridiculous, but as we speak right now, his old car is orbiting us. It's already gone past Mercury, past Mars. In fact, this thing has traveled so far that it's done the equivalent of driving on every single road on the planet over 50 times. Okay, we're in the top 10. 10 of the wildest things about one of the wildest companies. So, possibly the biggest hurdle that Tesla has faced is that this company is sat here wanting to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy. Fine. Except to actually produce as many cars as they'd need to get there, Tesla alone would need the entire world's supply of lithium-ion batteries. So one day they just decided, screw it. We're gonna build our own, and started production of the Gigafactory, the largest battery production plant, and also the largest building in history. So large that this building will produce more lithium-ion batteries than the world has ever seen every single year. And do you want to know the crazy part? Thanks to a never-before-seen density of solar panels, the entire thing has been planned to run on renewable energy. Number 8, Tesla's first car wasn't actually a Tesla. Before they built anything of their own, the company actually took this ultra-niche, handmade electric car at the time, called the T0, and replaced its internals with Tesla's own, effectively using it just to make sure that all the theoretical technologies actually had a practical benefit, before committing to building their own model from scratch. But now that they know those technologies work, Tesla is planning to apply them to everything. Like, as well as cars, they've got a Cybertruck. They're working on the Tesla Semi, which is a huge transport machine. They have a quad bike, they have a potential van in the works, they're even working on a fully electric car that will cost just $25,000. I might actually get a Semi when that comes out. But it's not just vehicles. A few weeks ago, the company also announced the Tesla Bot, a fully humanoid machine which they're hoping will rid the world of dangerous, repetitive, or just boring tasks. Number 5, Tesla has a huge and quite amusing rivalry with the TV show Top Gear, as well as its ex-host Jeremy Clarkson.
Oh no. Anyway, last week...
All the way back in 2008, Top Gear made an episode which basically showed a Tesla having an absolute nightmare, not performing how it should have, and breaking down during filming. But according to Elon Musk, they'd planned it that way. They'd scripted the show in such a way that the Tesla was made to fail, and even checked the logs of the car they used to find that its battery level had never dipped below 20% at any point, even though they claimed it had run out. So Tesla sued them for damaging their brand. I can't really speak for the reliability myself, but one thing that does seem pretty indisputable is that these are safe cars. The Model S is actually so structurally sound that in the Safety Administration's crash testing, it wasn't the car that broke, but the machine that was testing it. In fact, Tesla's Model S has scored so high on safety that you might have seen it being given a rating of 5.4 out of 5. That's obviously not exactly right, but where that came from is that, according to the official board, if a car can make sure that there's only a 10% chance of injury to a driver during an accident, it is given a 5-star rating. And so, given that Tesla managed to do these tests with just a 7% chance, they like to claim that they were better than 5 stars. But then they understandably got told off for saying this. Okay, these top 2 facts are just nuts. So I mentioned earlier that Tesla are worth more than Toyota, and that in itself is pretty cool. However, they're actually so much more valuable that they are worth more than not just Toyota, but them and the next 11 largest car makers put together. But it gets even crazier. When you start to factor in the brand value per car sold, like how much the brand is worth proportional to how much business they've done, while Ford sits at $6,000, Volkswagen at $9,000, Toyota at $20,000, Tesla is at $1.4 million per car sold. That's 70 times the amount of the closest competitor. This chart is not even really a chart. And there you have it. Funny company. Ultimate goal, let's see if we can get Elon himself to see this video. Anyway, my name is Aaron, this is Mr. Who's the Boss, and I'll catch you in the next one.